In our commentary about what had become known as Pizzagate, I made comments about Mr. Alefantis that in hindsight I regret and for which I apologize to him. We were participating in a discussion that was being written about by scores of media outlets in one of the most hotly contested and disputed political environments our country has ever seen. We relied on third-party accounts of alleged activities and conduct at the restaurant. We also relied on accounts of reporters who are no longer with us. This was an ever-evolving story, which had a huge amount of commentary about it across many, many media outlets. As I have said before, what became a heightened focus on Mr. Alefantis and Comet Ping Pong by many media outlets was not appropriate. To my knowledge today, neither Mr. Alefantis nor his restaurant, Comet Ping Pong, were involved in any human trafficking, as was part of the theories about Pizzagate that were being written about in the media outlets and which we commented upon. I want our viewers and listeners to know that we regret any negative impact our commentaries may have had on Mr. Alefantis, Comet Ping Pong, or its employees. We apologize. During the week of April 10th, 2017, certain statements were made on the InfoWars Twitter feed and YouTube channel regarding Chobani LLC that I now understand to be wrong. The tweets and video have now been retracted and will not be reposted. On behalf of InfoWars, I regret that we mischaracterized Chobani, its employees, and the people of Twin Falls, Idaho, the way we did.
If you want to understand what a turn of the 20th century sweatshop looked like, all you got to do is go to an Amazon warehouse for a day.
If you're giving a great customer experience, the only way to do that is with happy people.
My mental health definitely suffered working there.
You can't do it with a set of miserable people.
The longer I stayed there, the more the work wore on me. The more I began to notice subtle things about my mental health that started raising red flags to me and said, okay, something needs to change because this ain't working. That's kind of the feeling that I got, especially towards the very end, where I'm just like, I could very easily be classified as clinically depressed. Physically, everything that you hear about working at Amazon is true. You're walking miles a day. I lived with my family at the time, and I'd get home, and first thing I do is I just lay down on the couch and have somebody get one of those little massager things and put it on my back with a heat pad because my back was so stiff I could not bend over. I was popping Tylenol like M&M's in order to get through my day. I went through a brand new pair of shoes from the time I started to the time I ended there. Got a new pair of tennis shoes, and after working there 5.5 months, those tennis shoes, I won't say they were totally destroyed, but they're nice round-the-house sneakers now. I most certainly can't go running with them. These are running shoes. yeah, the insurance was nice, but a $4,000 deductible, no thank you. I mean, at that point, why bother having insurance? Anytime a deductible is over $1,000, that to me is just kind of posing the question of, why do you bother even providing that? If you actually have to go to the ER and you have to pay $1,000 out of pocket before insurance will even look at you, before they even give you the privilege of denying your claim, it's like, what's the point? And Amazon's plans are no different. My father's position, his assessment was the same as mine. Yeah, this health insurance plan is nice if you're already in good health. There were a lot of people who are older, we're talking like 40s, 50s, 60s that were working there. That health insurance plan they provided was most certainly not going to be able to meaningfully provide assistance to them if they got hurt on the job. Amazon fought tooth and nail against workers' comp as well. They would hunt.
Welcome to the Michael Brooks Show. We're broadcasting live from downtown Brooklyn, USA, where left is best as it is everywhere else, with super producer Malek.
Hello.
Chief economist David Griscom.
How's it going?
Super producer David Slavic is in the digitosphere in the ever-expanding, ever-growing, ever-global TMBS universe. It's a special Friday program. We're on vacation next week. Joining us is crew, compadre, comrade, brother and friend, Big Wosny Lambre from Count the Dings, my co-host on Woke Bros, and a whole bunch of other great podcasts that you can listen to him on. Then, Adam Friedland. He's a millennial activist and podcaster. We're talking about his recent run-in about AIPAC and Jewish identity politics with Chelsea Clinton. He will be joining us in the second block. Then we have...
I believe contretemps is the word.
Is that really the word?
Yeah, I'm trying to work that into my vocabulary.
I think it worked. David Griscom has an economic update for us, as always, a GEM system. We've got some reports, a lot that's actually going to be happening in the post-game. There's an uprising, a revolution in Haiti, right? A potential revolution in Haiti. Will it be only a political, but maybe potentially a social one? Also, it relates directly to the misallocation of funds that were supplied to Haiti under a program set up by Hugo Chavez. It plays directly into the attempted coup process happening in Venezuela right now. Plus, the House passes a measure to stop U.S. support for the slaughter in Yemen. However, one Democratic rep put in a provision that undermines and dilutes the bill. We'll get into that. Donald Trump is fully indulging in clown fascism. He's going to declare a national state of emergency for the fake, no, zero, none emergency at the border. He's going to double, quadruple every kind of way you can go down on white nationalism, as his economic populism has been exposed for the lie it always was. Get ready for more clown fascism, folks. And of course, a whole lot of utter nonsense about Elliot Abrams and Latin America in general. And a shout out to Nomiki Konst and to activists across New York City. And as a matter of fact, that's where we're going to start. Guys, we delivered Amazon a great defeat. You know, that video that you were watching in the opening of the daily grind and abuse and systemic by design horrific treatment of Amazon workers, put that in relationship to the Jeff Bezos dick pic. And I apologize. I know no one wants to have any relationship to that. But I have no judgment of what the guy or anyone wants to do in their private life. But if you juxtapose the design, I mean, look, frictionless sounds like a fun, harmless word that just means like you can get your books faster. You can get a meal delivered to you. You can get whatever the hell you want in literally, I mean, actually, in the grand scheme of things, almost practically speaking, seconds or hours or a day. But in practicality, it's a supply chain that is innately brutalizing. And not only is it innately brutalizing, Amazon takes every single opportunity to squeeze and squeeze and squeeze more and more and more. So juxtapose the workers struggling in that video where a freshly bulked up, incredibly maladjusted, disturbed nerd is going, it's grotesque. We defeated that company in New York City. Amazon didn't want to deal with community scrutiny. They didn't want to deal with actual local politicians who had serious questions about rents, about labor unions, about why the fuck we would give them $3 billion in tax credits and help them build a helipad when we could be literally using the money for almost literally anything else to benefit the people of New York City. One of those politicians who got how stupid it was, of course, AOC, and we're going to play her reaction to it right now.
Your reaction to the Amazon decision?
I think it's incredible. I mean, it shows that everyday Americans still have the power to organize and fight for their communities, and they can have more say in this country than the richest man in the world. The city was paying for those jobs. So frankly, if we were willing to give Amazon willing to give away $3 billion for this deal, we could invest those $3 billion in our district ourselves if we wanted to. We could hire out more teachers. We can fix our subways. We can put a lot of people to work for that money if we wanted to. Additionally, those jobs, there was no guarantee that those jobs were for the New Yorkers that were here. We were looking at a deal that was not primarily putting the community first. And I think that we can absolutely come together to create an economic plan that actually invests in New Yorkers, in higher wages, and in a dignified life.
Shout out to Make the Road New York, Democratic Socialists of America, and all other progressive groups that made this happen. I'm going to read off several of them. Align NY, Empower Change, Jesus Resist Uprising, Make the Road, New York Communities for Change. And of course, this has led, I mean, this is basically what this has done is it's completely flat-footed Bill de Blasio. Bill de Blasio, who has done some good things. He's done some awful things and he's done some good things. He fancies himself a progressive leader, which he is not. He's several years out of date on that title. So he's totally flat-footed on this. Andrew Cuomo is nothing but a machine oligarch delivering corporatist. And he, of course, Amazon Cuomo is having a great tantrum. But this is an important tantrum. Check this tweet out. I'm going to read it out for you. Cuomo said, apparently according to, and this, excuse me, this is actually the this is not Cuomo. This is the dean of the Long Island.
No, this is Cuomo.
This is Cuomo talking to Senator Ted Kaczynski.
Yeah.
So this is Cuomo commiserating with the dean of the Long Island delegation, Senator Ted Kaczynski. This reported by Yancey Roy, who's a reporter, I believe. That economic interests, when the state Senate aborted the Amazon plan by placing a stalwart Amazon component on the government approval board to pander to local socialists. Amazon Cuomo, who a couple of months ago dismissed the Cortez win, and while he was taking his victory lap after his re-election, after his defeat of Cynthia Nixon in the primary, basically was like, I'm not a socialist, I'm an adult, is now calling socialists out essentially by name, for handing them a victory. And by the way, it wasn't just socialists. It was progressive. It was community activists. It was a whole coalition of people. But if this schmuck wants to give socialism a credit, I'll take it. Yes, socialists handed Jeff Bezos, Andrew Cuomo, and a bunch of real estate speculators a loss. And we should celebrate that. And we should note the absolutely petulant and childish and pathetic way Amazon has acted as a company in this whole process. And finally, this whole feudalistic Hunger Game thing that they ran across the country, essentially having companies provide, states and cities provide massive unpaid research and legalize bribes for them to locate there. They're finally scaling back, at least in this one instance, with their tail momentarily tucked behind their legs. Of course, the fight goes on. wherever the next Amazon goes is going to be the next place that the fight goes. And of course, Amazon is still here in New York City. And of course, the corporate domination of our politicians, the complete corruption of our process by capitalism, the relentless gentrification of New York City continues apace. But this shows what you can do with real activism. And I want to get, let's just play this. This is hilarious. These are local activists hitting a Jeff Bezos pinata because that's just funny. And you should enjoy it. You should, by the way, you should watch this and then without comment, just tweet it to the Howard Schultz account as part of his listening tour. I think he could use to see some real citizens' thoughts. That's awesome. I want to get to the shout out. We'll do the song next week, but just really quickly, this is another reason you got to get out for Nomiki Konst, who's running for New York City Public Advocate. She's for real. She's a for real Democratic Socialist. She's a for real progressive. And her energy and her organizing chops as a candidate has also been a part of this pushback and this reversal. She's also taking, of course, no money from real estate, which is probably structurally for residents of New York the most dangerous special interest in the city. Here she is earlier today, another problem generated by corporatists like Andrew Cuomo, the MTA. This is her actually filming a situation she was in herself on the MTA earlier. Get to her website. I believe it's Nomiki Konst. We have a link to it, actually, which we'll put up after this video, and find all the ways you can get involved to make her a New York City public advocate.
So we are on a train, on the N train, trying to get to Queens from Midtown, and we've been waiting for a sick passenger for a while, and now we are being forced to move to the front of the train. In all my time in New York and all of my subway trips, I've never been asked to move to the front of the train to get off the train. So we're stuck in the middle of tracks. I don't really know what's going on. Of course, a sick customer is a crisis, but this is all too common, where people are getting stuck on trains, can't get out in New York City, and this just reinforces the crisis. The irony of this is that we just came from a Streets Pack interview where we talked about infrastructure issues in New York and the lack of funding of the MTA and how much our transportation system is in crisis. We just came from an interview with Streets Pack, so I don't even know how long the train is, so we'll see.
Yeah, look, I mean, I just like the energy of it. Nomiki is relentless, and she will be relentless on behalf of what we need her to be relentless about in that position. If you haven't yet, go back in the archives, listen to the interview that we did a couple weeks with her about her candidacy, or watch it on YouTube, obviously. So there it was. Shout out Nomiki.
This is out of control. Shout out. That's creepy. Shout out.
I'm guessing you think he's going to take Rogan out, huh?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think we played it, but my favorite part of the Alex Jones, Joe Rogan rant is when he's just like, oh, yeah, and he said UFC was owned by the mafia or whatever. I already knew that. That's so fucking cool. I already knew that.
That's a big fuck you in the conspiracy theorist community.
That is a super big fuck you in the conspiracy. Like, oh, wow, Leon, there wasn't a lone gunman. Wow, breaking news. Thank you. So, guys, I want to thank each of you. We've crossed our first major goal is, of course, 1,000 patrons. We are now at 2019 as of Showtime tonight. Thanks, everybody. Much appreciated. Let me give it a shofar. I think that feels fitting. I mean, look, we're incredibly proud of what we do. Getting to that point helps us sustain, lock things in place. Actually, in some smaller ways, but not in significant ways, expand what we do a little bit. Obviously, at 3,000 patrons, then that becomes like the next level where we can actually sort of talk about even broadening out in another way. Although, honestly, we're obviously, as is, doing a hell of an amount of work to put out all these shows. And that really is, at the end of the day, why you should become a patron. I mean, this is a full-scale, broad-based, globally oriented, but also super entertaining political show. And we're pulling it off. And it's thanks to each and every one of you. It's thanks to our efforts and also this incredible community we've put together. I don't know whether it's going to be this Sunday or next Sunday, but Adam Chechuachu, who's a professor at the University of Chicago, she has a new book called After Empire. We just did an illicit history on why the 70s effort of leaders like Julius Nyerere and Michael Manley failed in terms of a very noble effort to kind of create a global social democracy and post-colonialism, and how neo-colonialism overlapped with the work on sort of the reassertion of neoliberal bureaucracy. We're covering a lot of the ground, and also these grounds are coming into conversation with each other so that there's some real solid framework to it. But again, we're also having a lot of fun. We also appreciate all of you. So send YouTube your feedback. We are still under review. We certainly have, again, it remains very confusing, but we want to be on YouTube. It's important that as many left voices are on YouTube as possible. So YouTube isn't just some sort of IDW alt-right cesspool. So you can submit YouTube feedback and literally say, monetize TMBS, monetize the Michael Brooks Show. Certainly our subscribership and views on YouTube are moving fast, and it's a great way of getting the word out. So if you haven't yet, obviously subscribe, spread the word, let YouTube know what's up, and become a patron today. Of course, that is the first thing to do. Patreon.com/TMBS, Patreon.com/TMBS. Now, really excited about this. Can we get this up on screen? I did give a link. The LA live show, guys. We packed the Bell House in Brooklyn, and we want to pack the Bootleg Theater on April 20th, 420, in LA. Our special guest, check this show out. We came out of the gate, we crushed it. We had Alona Minkowski, Trevor Beaulieu, Bhaskar Sankara, and Mike Racine. Crushed it. Now we're going to Bootleg Theater, and this is, fuck sophomore slump. Woz. Big Wosny Lambre is going to be on in 2 minutes tonight. He's a fucking genius. We've been doing work together for a while. I love Woz. It's going to be incredible to bring him up on this stage with us. Then we have the amazing, the classy as hell, globally informed, Natalie dressed Nando Vila, who's one of the smartest guys in the game. He's a documentary filmmaker. He's a talk show host. And just an all-around awesome dude who I'm doing some other projects with. Fucking great. And then it's rounded out by Anna Kasparian, the fucking legend of TYT. Come on. These are three incredible people that I have the honor and privilege of working with. And it's going to be amazing having each of them up on stage, along, of course, with the three of us. And we want to see you. Come out, get your tickets. I know this is what everybody says in the game, but I will say if the rate of tickets continues at this sale as they've started out, we'll be gone pretty quickly. So I would go and get your tickets. We'll see you in April 20th in LA for, what is it? We're calling it Left is Best West Coast Fest. We're going to take a brief break.
Or Left is Best Fest West.
Left is Best Fest West. That's better. We're going to take a brief break. We'll be right back with Big Woz.
I think about this stuff. I really do. I this is what I do for my life. So I worry about what's happening in Western society, about whether our successes have led us to a place where we're just giving it up. Where young people think that socialism is cool, that this leftist nonsense is cool, that the oppression Olympics is cool, that suddenly segregating based on race is cool, that the ideas of Martin Luther King and JFK that were true liberals, the liberals that I believe in, that these ideas are becoming old school. Martin Luther King and JFK would most likely be conservatives by today's standards.
I like how like the only use that Dave Rubin has as a human is making us laugh unintentionally. That's literally the only use Dave Rubin has.
I mean, there are more useless members of the IDW.
Oh, that's the truth.
The Weinsteins don't even do that.
No, the Weinsteins aren't funny. They're boring as fuck. And they're not like almost like you want to conduct some type of study at some type of Swiss scientific institute about how you could possibly be that stupid and still like tie your shoe and get Koch brother money. All right, joining us now is Big Wosny Lambre. He's the co-host with me of Woke Bros, which it would just be inane if you haven't subscribed to that yet. He's also the co-host and host of all of the Count the Dings properties. This is a great network. Sports shows, back-to-back, culture, of course, the Black Opinions Matter feed, not only is Woke Bros, but also the Monday Black Opinions Matter show. And you know, I mean, come on, I'm sure if you're watching or listening to this, you probably know who Woz is. Woz, thanks for coming here, man. How's it going?
I'm good, Michael. How are you guys? What's up, Matt, whole crew?
Hey, Woz.
Glad to be on with you guys again, man.
So, David, actually, now you know, David knows you now. How's it going?
Yes, when that last time I was in New York, I came up to the studio. So now me and David are compatriots and compadres and filthy commie scum, you know?
Hell yeah.
It's good.
Wait, what did we come up? I asked you, because by the way, people should know in Crossover World, the last episode of Woke Bros, Bhaskar Sunkaro is our guest. And we talked about the Knicks and believing in lost causes. But what I asked you was, how do you say in Creole? How do you say bro in Creole?
It's basically partner. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's basically what it is, which is partner. It's just a Haitian saying partner, but yeah, partner.
So we decided what it is now is that you're a Bernie partner.
Bernie partner. That's hilarious.
I like that.
But I'll take it, man. Absolutely. Obviously I support what the guy's about and what he stands for, and I hope he gets into this 2 legs down and ready to rock and roll.
How excited are you about the 420 live show? It's a TMBS show, but it's obviously also a Woke Bros show. At have you done a show at the Bootleg Theater yet?
Yeah, our LA show was actually at the Bootleg.
What's it like? Talk about the venue and how.
It's pretty cool, man. They've got like a huge space for like the before the show, and then after that they have like stadium seating in the like main room, the main stage. Like they have stadium seating, they have seating at the floor, which is sort of at the front. So, but even if you're in the back, you're like elevated, so you get a good view. Like you're guaranteed to have a good view. It's huge. Obviously, they got a full bar. It's in Koreatown, which means like you're around a lot of good food.
That's true.
On the east side, which I'm not gonna lie, is not my favorite part of town. I know people are gonna call me Hollywood and fake for that, but I'm not a crazy east side person.
No, Waz skipped all of the like. There's like parts of, because I don't know LA I know LA a little bit, and my sense is like around to the east of Koreatown are these neighborhoods where you're sort of supposed to be like, hey, this kind of reminds me of Brooklyn. And Waz is just like, no, I like Malibu and all of the cool places that I saw in Entourage.
Well, yeah. You know, when it comes to West Hollywood or even Santa Monica and Venice, which is like, it's all the way on the west side. It's not like near West Hollywood and, you know, Miracle Mile and all that other stuff. But like, that's kind of where I was when I got to LA. So it's like, going out to the east side always just seemed like a journey, quite frankly. So I never started doing that. But I've gone a couple of times and enjoyed myself. It's not that. It's just, I'm not familiar there. You know, that's not
No,
hard
I
for me.
understand. And you can't in LA really. That's not a myth. It really is hard to get around. You know. Also, so how excited? I was gonna go to something else, but how excited are you for this show though? Like, no bullshit. Give the sales.
Well, no, that's why I brought it up. It's like, it's in Koreatown, which is like near a bunch of stuff. You know, first of all, so if you want to do things before the show, like, it's very easy to do things in and around the area. And yeah, just the live show experience is cool because you get to connect with all the people who are tweeting you, emailing you, you know what I mean, corresponding with you all the time. And you finally get to do it up in person and have these same conversations, but only in person. And of course, there's drinks involved and we're telling dirty jokes and, you know, just a TMBS Count the Dings experience, but in person, it's great.
Yeah, it's gonna be real. I'm really excited about it, and we've already. I mean, I guess this will be our second rodeo because I was featured at the Count the Dings in Brooklyn. I was remiss. I want to actually give a second to plug another thing, which is the awesome show you do with your cousin Nard. Everything is Trash.
Everything is Trash is just a venture. Me and my cousin, we just shoot the shit. It's like,
so good.
We don't put it out regularly, unfortunately, yet. But I think pretty soon we're going to start having at least bi-weekly episodes of this thing. But we can shoot the shit about, you know, the goings-on in culture, just like what it's like to be immigrants in L.A., you know what I'm saying? Like New York transplants, you know, like we're in this foreign land trying to find our sea legs, and we get into those type of things. And we have a funny dynamic because he is my cousin, and he's known me literally since I was born. So we have that dynamic going on. So it's a fun show. I think if you enjoy anything that I've done with Mike or with Count the Dings, that you would absolutely enjoy Everything is Trash.
You and your cousin are definitely the only people that I've ever been in a car with on my way to any venue. And I've just been sitting like in the back seat of a car thinking like, yeah, these guys should do a podcast together. That's actually true.
Yeah.
I've never thought that about anybody else. I was like, nah, this works.
I appreciate that, man. But yeah, we have a lot of fun with it. It's just kind of like a fun thing that we're doing just to get some of this stuff out there, you know, because this guy has a lot of opinions about a lot of things, and he's a lot more conservative than I am.
Yes.
And so, like, that dynamic is just very fun.
You know what I heard? You know, the most
like Matt Leck, by the way. We're not talking about MAGA conservatives. Don't get it twisted now.
Stop. Matt has
We're
requested.
talking about normal conservatives, small C conservatives.
Well, two things. Matt has requested that we stop outing him
libel.
like that because it makes life on the Discord very annoying when people know that Matt's MAGA. And then the second thing was, I got to tell you, actually, the episode hasn't come out yet, but I'll just keep going. But Trevor Beaulieu, right? T, who does Champagne Sharks, that's another great show. And he was at the Bell House live show. And I don't think it's out yet, but I just recorded an episode of his show with him and his co-host Mike. And we just had a lot of fun. That was just a crazy show. But T said the most Caribbean male thing I maybe have literally ever heard, which is, yeah, I was never going to call Notorious B.I.G. Big Papa. It's like, I'm not calling a dude that. And I was like, all right, T. And he goes, and you know, I feel as if that's how Biggie would have wanted it. Like, I don't think he was calling me out when he was rapping to call him Big Papa.
No, that's absolutely a fact. And that's absolutely like a male New York, unnecessarily,
right?
You know, veering into anti-homosexual
right.
stuff.
Well, you're the woke cousin. I'm saying well, first of all, I mean, T, to be clear, said it tongue in cheek. He was joking. He wasn't serious. But when you say the small C conservative cousin, how conservative are we talking? Would he call him Big Papa or no?
No, absolutely not. Would not call him Big Papa. Would never, ever do that.
Yeah. What was that movie with Bill Pullman? Do you remember the name of that? The movie about voodoo?
Oh my goodness. We talked about this on Everything is Trash. I've seen this movie, so The Serpent and the Rainbow.
All right, can you look this up on YouTube? We'll only play like 20 seconds of it. We'll talk over it so we don't get a strike. But I just want to say, like, I had heard about this movie from you, and this is definitely one of those things where, like, you know what? You know, like, we have not come a long way, but we've become like maybe a tiny way. Because you know, as sick as I am of like the clickbait, like, you know, like anytime a new even marginal like Netflix series comes out, like, you know, everybody's, oh, this is a problematic, yada yada yada, like, and I'm so sick of that. Watching this trailer was like, oh, I wish that the clickbait culture existed at this point, at this time, because wow.
What studio produced this movie? But believe me, in 2019, people would be picketing their studio lot.
All right, let's watch. Dude. We got it. Let's watch like the first like, and again, talk over it because YouTube is now filled with narcs. And
I'm gonna speed it up a little bit.
Yeah,
so we might.
Oh my! This was directed by Wes Craven.
Wes Craven.
Whoa! They got top shelf talent there. All right.
It's beyond problematic. It's like, dude.
On Elm Street.
Whoa! This is already like The Snakes, a story of a forbidden world between life and death.
Bro, it's a horror movie, and the premise of the horror movie is just that these people went to Haiti. That's it.
Just visited Haiti.
I want to know how they did it.
Like, they're not in a haunted house. They're not in, like, you know, dealing with a chainsaw massacre guy. Literally, these guys went to Haiti, and the horror movie ensued. That's it.
So did you watch this movie as a kid before you went to Haiti?
And it wasn't even as a kid. It was one of those movies like when I first got HBO.
Right.
Which is, I think I was like 10, 11. Like, so I wasn't like 6, where you like really get scared to death of stuff. I might have been like 10, 11 years old. And they used to play this on some of the premium channels. Really? And I watched it, but at the time, I don't think I realized that they were in Haiti. Like, I just felt like I was watching, like, you know, it's just, oh, man. White people are the best, man, I gotta say.
I gotta give you a Bill Clinton story that will make you love Bill Clinton even more. Because I actually read, like, I'm not even gonna lie, like, I am this out of it, where I couldn't get through all of it, but I actually did try to read Bill Clinton's autobiography, partially on the premise that, like, tangentially, like, it is my job. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And,
that's fair.
And I don't remember the specifics of it, but the long story short is he did a voodoo ceremony in Haiti when he was a young man, and it was like, it was done by, like, you know, like, it was very, like, it was like a French Haitian, like a Haitian man who I think had lived in France for many years and had like a PhD from the Sorbonne, and had returned to Haiti where he was like an academic but also a voodoo priest. And Bill Clinton did the ceremony. And I remember just reading that and just being like, man, I thought two things. I was like, Bill Clinton really is kind of cool. And the second thing I thought was like, leave it to Bill Clinton to literally go to a place as a young man and have like a positive experience, and then just be like, oh, that place where I did that voodoo ceremony, that's where I've got to ruin their cotton economy.
Bro, and the thing is, doing voodoo, basically going to a voodoo ceremony, and sorry about Ted in the background.
No, it's fine. That's Ted.
He doesn't care that we're doing a live podcast YouTube stream. He doesn't care.
Ted never
he
cares.
sees some other dogs walking in the courtyard and just goes nuts.
I've heard Ted on the
He thinks
Basketball
he's
Buds
Al Capone.
podcast.
Yeah,
before, too.
I was gonna say if you've listened to any Count the Dings show, you're familiar
Oh,
with
yeah.
Ted.
He's part of
Yeah.
the show. He's a co-host.
Yeah, oh,
He's
definitely.
actually credited on the show. But no, like going to Haiti and like, yo, I'm going to embed myself with some voodoo priests and priestesses. Like that's just like one of those, like it's like somebody who's like, yo, I want to leave the resort type of shit. It's like, no. I want to do the real
I want to
shit.
leave
You know
the
what I mean?
resort.
Yeah. That's essentially what it is like.
Wait,
yeah,
so-
I know the resort is cool and there's actually Dominicans here, like, you know, making us drinks and bringing food for us and stuff. But no, like, I want to go to where they hang out. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what Bill Clinton essentially did in Haiti. That's how you know he's a sicko.
I want to leave the resort. Wait, so it's like you're saying like the only people in the only white people worse than the white people at the resort are the white people that leave the resort.
Pretty much.
Fuck, man, I'm a total leave
No, I'm trying to get native.
I am totally one of those leave the resort assholes. Oh my god.
By the way, going to a voodoo ceremony is, you know, it's a step way beyond those people, those white women who get cornrows on the beaches in the Caribbean. We've all seen that.
Wait, but
and been like, really, white lady?
But here's my
Really?
question for
You need
you. But what if I feel like though this is all under the premise of like it's corny and it's, you know, if we want to, you know, it's what all of that. But here's my question. I've never actually done any type of voodoo ceremony, but here's my question is like, what if it actually works and I could settle some accounts that way? I mean, I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna not do that just because you raise an eyebrow at me, Woz.
No, but here's the thing. Here's the thing about somebody like you or Bill Clinton or any other white person. Right?
No, I like. Let's keep it at that. Me or Bill Clinton? Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Are we considering Bill Clinton to be an authentic cultural anthropologist? Like, do we think of him that way?
Yes.
Well, then you have your answer. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we think Bill Clinton is legitimately, you know, trying to get deep into the crevices of culture, then I have no problem with him doing that.
That's one of the fun. There's this book that I might use if I can't. I have to think of how to figure out how to put the. It has to be a little bit more geopolitics, but I kind of want to do an illicit history of the Cali cartel. And there's this book.
Oh man, that'd be cool.
Yeah. And there's this book called At the Devil's Table, which is about the man, basically the head of the Cali cartel's security. It's the third season of Narcos. It actually follows the book pretty closely. He took down the cartel almost by being like a double agent. He was in charge of security for the families. And the second brother in the cartel had 4 wives. And the third wife was a witch. And so he went and did like security at her apartment, and there would be like bowls of water with like an egg floating and like different like, you know, like aloe plants, and she was like, you know, I appreciate everything you're doing, and if you ever need like, you know, protection or whatever, talk to me about it. And I just remember being like, that is something like a multi-billion-dollar like ruthless crime syndicate. And the third wife can do that. That's pretty formidable.
Yeah, man, and that's why I always tell people, yo, stay away from Colombian women, man. It's scary, bro.
Hey, I thought that was a
Scary
nod. That
hours.
sounds more like a nod take than yours. Nod take than yours. Yeah. See, you say that as
And, yo,
a
by
joke.
the way-
He would just be
by
like,
the
no,
way,
but
just
seriously.
to wrap a bow on this zombie voodoo stuff,
Yeah.
we know for a fact that my boy, God rest his soul, Tony Bourdain, would have went right with Bill Clinton. He would have been deep in there, man. Deep
Oh,
in the
without
cracks,
a doubt. Bourdain would have been filming it. He would have been like, and this is brain, and I'm gonna stab a needle in my former EP who screwed me over in my first deal. Like, yeah. And now I'm spitting out the
Definitely
rum.
drinking chicken blood, bro.
I'm spitting the rum and blood, and hopefully this means my enemies will catch rickets. Was just in the last couple of minutes, and we did have, I think we had a really good conversation with this on Woke Bros, but can we just, because it's about to go away, can we just, and he came out recently and he very helpfully said that he had been reading Roots. Can we touch on Ralph Northam for a second real quick? I mean, you know that I said, which is like, I'm actually of the opinion that if he had come out way before it and had apologized and and that there was a path out for him. I mean, apparently but just watching how this has proceeded, it's like, whoa.
Here's the thing that's so easy but never happens.
Right.
And it's like, okay, you can just be like, look, I get out in front of this, I messed up.
Right.
But here's how I got better, right? Like,
right.
I read a bunch of James Baldwin books. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't know if we're talking about an intellectual caliber of a James Baldwin reader here, Waz.
I know that. I'm just saying, like, just say that you did a bunch of work, cite the work, and say, I came out of this work having a much better understanding than I did as a Virginia white-bread good old boy. Because those experiences never prepared me to be better, right? Like, I went out of my way to get better. Basically, you just want to tell people you worked. You worked at it. People love a redemption story, bruh. Right. Just lie to us, baby. Like, yo, come on, man. I spent weeks at a freaking homeless shelter in the most ghettoest part of Richmond. I was in the cracks, man. I was doing the work. I did this. That's all people want to hear, and we can move on with our lives. Because people do want to think that folks are capable of betterment of themselves, of change and things of that nature. Like, people do want to believe that about other people, believe it or not. So, like, but nobody wants to do this, right? Louis C.K. could just come out and be like, yo, bro, I sat down and talked with people that worked in my industry and, women, and they told me their experiences and why it was fucked up and how it made them feel and this, and that. And I came out of that experience of doing that homework, and now I'm better. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like a Detroit Red and Malcolm X type of shit, right?
Right.
It's like I was living.
Well, then
in
the corollary of that is you need a forgiveness, non-punitive culture, and everybody needs right.
Yeah,
like those are
we're
the
not
correlations.
there yet, though.
Right.
We have the
true.
pitchfork moment of our culture, which, I know we got to go through this to get where we're going, so it's fine. Right? Like, we need the fangs to be out. People need to sort of let go of, like, all of the bullshit that's happened for thousands of years. I get that we're in that moment. I hate sounding like a hipster and saying, like, I'm post-outrage. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in the, like, all right, man, how do we figure this shit out now? Like, we got it out. We've exhausted ourselves. We get it. We got this release out. For those of you at home, in front of your computers, y'all know what I'm talking about. Now it's time to move on to something else. You feel me?
What is, as a final question before you run, what is AZ the most underrated rapper of all time?
I mean, he's one of them. I'd put him up there with Beanie Siegel. I'd put him up there with Corrupt. I'd put him up there with Redman. Yeah, AZ, Beanie Siegel, Redman, Corrupt. I'm talking about as people like pure rap ability. Like, Redman reached a certain level of mainstream, like, success. Like, a lot of people know his name through movies that he did and literally the greatest Cribs episode in the history of mankind. But a lot of people don't know, like his pen game as a writer is just insane. So, yeah, I would absolutely put AZ up there, 100%.
Waz, I will talk with you, of course, every week. You find us on the bomb feed, Black Opinions Matter. Woke Bros comes out. We get deep into everything. I'm really, really proud of what we're doing. You can find Waz with all of the Count the Ding shows. You can find him, of course, also with Everything is Trash. We'll be talking a lot before then, but, of course, get your tickets now to see us all. And, of course, you're going to be up there. I mean, Anna Kasparian and Nando Vila. It's a monster lineup, man.
Bro, I'm so looking forward to that. And I can't wait to introduce my girlfriend to Anna because, my girlfriend's Armenian, and that community is so tight knit and crazy.
Yes.
I can't wait for that to happen. But yeah, I just want to give a shout out to you guys, man. Thanks for having me on. I love doing this with you guys every time. Matt, Dave, now that me and Dave is blood brothers, man, we just gotta prick our fingers and actually exchange the blood, because I've actually already done that with Matt and Mike, but I can't wait to do that with Dave. I know you guys will be in LA, so I can't wait to do that, man. I'm excited,
Griscom
man.
asked that when you left. Griscom was like, "You think Woz considers me a personal friend now?"
Absolutely, and especially after that Solange Knowles story, because she's about as black as it gets in the pop space, baby. So
because the Solange video,
that's crazy.
Solange video filmed on Griscom family property.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a lot of cred, man.
How crazy is that?
It's pretty cool.
Dude, Solange is amazing.
I love Solange.
Solange really, that's a live up to the hype person. She's incredible. All
right, y'all.
All right, Woz. Thank you, man. Talk to you soon.
All right, later.
All right, always.
Bye.
Woz is the best. Actually, you ready, Griscom? Let's do the economics segment
let's do it.
before we get to we have a millennial activist joining us shortly, Adam Friedland. Uh-oh.
I'm
you ready?
Sorry.
You ready?
Doing a remix.
You ready? It's a remix.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to report on something that I was reading today, which is pretty frustrating. I mean, it was only a couple days ago, Tuesday, we were talking about the increasing debt crisis. And I just want to talk specifically about the student loan debt crisis, which is around $1.44 trillion, which obviously is huge. And I just want to talk about something that just came out, which is an audit by the Office of the Inspector General found that the federal student aid, which is FSA for short, basically has not been enforcing the student loan servicers. So if you have student loans, you pay those to these different servicers. Basically, the Federal Student Aid Office, which is under the control of Betsy DeVos now, but this was even back in 2015, 2017, has been failing pretty like criminally when it comes to their oversight over these student loan servicers. Specifically, one of the worst things that they've been doing has been giving student loan debt holders bad information, meaning that if you think that basically not putting on people on the cheapest plans and encouraging more and more people to go on forbearance, which means that you're just racking up interest and you're going to have to end up paying them much more. And the federal.
I got hoodwinked that way.
No, I mean,
although actually I was literally couldn't pay anything.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's pretty rampant. These infractions are not rare. In fact, we're talking something around 60% of the agency's oversight reports, so this is the FSA, show that servicers were acting improperly with student borrowers. So we're talking about some serious money, especially when we're talking about something that's worth $1.44 trillion.
It's not innovation, though?
No, it's not innovation at all. And, what we're seeing now is state attorney generals have been trying to sue the student loan providers for their actions. And Betsy DeVos and the Department of Education have been countersuing state governments from coming after the student loan providers, saying that it's they're shielding these companies, basically. It's pretty fucked up.
Right.
And, this profitable work.
And also they're running a lot of interference for all these private college scams as well. So that syncs up because the student gets screwed on both ends.
It's profitable work. I mean, it's two of the worst student loan servicers, according to this audit that just came out, were FedLoan and Navient. Navient is a company that in 2018 pulled in $5.18 billion in revenue. So these are very profitable companies. And when we're talking about a student loan crisis, which is, as we said, over $1 trillion, it affects 42.9 million Americans. And don't forget that there are also, securities that are derived off of these student loans too, where people are making even more money. It's quite a serious issue. And the fact that the federal government basically is not protecting people is pretty worrying. I say, instead of just fining these companies, which they should have been doing, from now on, whenever these student loan providers are found to be being malignant on their duties to the borrowers, implement a negative interest rate on all student loans. So if you're making them take longer to pay, then you lose money in the end instead of the opposite, which is now.
Precisely. And also the corporate death penalty for all of these
fuck yeah,
bloodsucker industry and universal student loan debt relief for all students.
Certainly.
And then, of course, free college.
I just feel like one of these days,
forward.
the sort of privatization of these will lead to some sort of innovation that will make it worthwhile to make this all done through finance.
But it's like, the thing is fucked up because the incentive is for them to keep everyone in debt as long as possible, for the providers at least.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And it's just also like, yeah, I mean all of that like innovation rhetoric is, obviously bullshit and a scam and used as just sort of
competition would start kicking
right. Used by dullards to propagandize, but I mean the student loan abuse, like you couldn't get, there isn't even like a broader conversation about, well, where does this fit in? Like Silicon Valley is a menace to our society, and it's still totally changed how we do things, right? For really bad and some good. And it's complicated, and we need to make it a public thing and break up monopolies and implement a social alternative, of course. But then, and then there's these other sectors you can look at, and they can kind of like pull off an argument about the esoteric nature of what they do, which is bullshit. But it's like, this is just the raw scam and abuse. Like there's no mediating obscurity of what it is.
Oh, it's clear. And then you have a whole market of the population, basically people who are making money off of this system, betting and hoping, especially people who are buying securities that are based off of everyone's debt, hoping that students continue to get more indebted, that tuition rates continue to rise across the country. I mean, it's very perverse when you think about, the problem of unaffordable education, which is a real crisis in this country, certainly. And it's expanded drastically. I mean, we've talked about just in the past 12 years, the amount of money that's been added on the student loan debt. It's unprecedented in U.S. history.
There it is. The GEM system. David Griscom. We're going to take a brief break, and then we're going to come back with Adam Friedland. He's joining us in just a couple minutes.
But why is it that we're able to do this and most people can't do this? That's what I'm curious about.
We go home at night and we can have our own lives. I mean, that's real, and I think part of friendship, by the way, is that. Like, we go home at night and we just have our own lives.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not married to you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's like my wife and I have to agree on these issues. You and I don't have to agree on these issues in order for us to share a common space together, and that's really the important thing.
Do you think your wife and you have to agree on all of these issues, or just the sort of more foundational ones?
The foundational ones, but
Yeah.
I do think that how you raise your kids religiously and with regard to things like sexual morality does actually have to be at the root of how you teach your kids.
Yeah.
So if you have deep divisions with your spouse on these issues, I think that, and you're looking to build a family anyway, then I think that these are issues where building on a bad foundation is a bad move.
So so if you wouldn't bake me a cake, that's okay, and now, because it's 50-50, I can't bake you a cake, which David's an incredible chef, and he would have done it kosher, the whole thing, man.
Yeah, now I feel bad.
He would have done it for you.
You got me this close.
Putting that aside, you can't have David's kosher cake now. If we were having an anniversary party, would you come? If I was inviting all the crew that we all know, and we were just an anniversary party, we're just having a party, and I'll even throw in some kosher food for you to make sure you don't have to bring your own food.
Honestly, I'd have to think about it. In the same way.
So that's interesting to me, because that's a different thing.
Well, not really, because again, if you're a religious person, and again, take it from the religious perspective. From the religious perspective, the question is, are you glorifying something that you think is sinful?
Yeah.
So if it's a party for something that you think was originally sinful, can you participate in that? So from a religious point of view, that's an actual serious moral question.
Yeah.
Would I go out to dinner with you? The answer is yes, right? Because that's not actually like, let's celebrate something that I feel that you're doing is sinful. But I'd have to think about that one. And I'm being perfectly honest, I'm trying to be as straightforward as possible on this.
I want you to. So that's so interesting to me, because it's like if I threw a regular party, we were having a party at my house, and all the guys.
But that's right for a gay wedding cake also, right? Like, I'd bake you a cake that had nothing to do with the gay wedding.
Right.
And I would go to a party with you that has nothing to do with gay marriage.
Would you bake me a regular cake? Could I just have a Thursday cake?
Yeah, sure, I'd give you a cake. Why the hell not? I mean, my baking sucks. I'll just buy you one.
I want a
shittily
baked Shapiro cake, and then I'm going to then once I get it here, I can do whatever I want with it.
That has a lot of pathos to it. Ben Shapiro's just like naked bigotry across, like Dave Rubin. It's like finally clicking on some basic level, like, ooh, that actually doesn't feel good. Like everything that I'm constantly justifying actually doesn't feel good when applied to me. Joining us now, welcome back everybody. Joining us now is Adam Friedland. He's a millennial activist and a podcaster. Adam, thanks for being here.
Yeah. I don't know about that intro there, but yeah, thanks a lot.
Well, okay, yeah, I mean, you could help us out and clarify it. I mean, we found out about your work, of course, because we regularly watch I-24 News. That's one of our main kind of like research sources.
So that's an English language channel that's broadcast in Israel. So you live in Israel?
No, we're in New York, but we try to.
You just get the TV. Oh, that's cool.
We just get the TV, and we try to make all of our sources Israeli so that we're not accidentally anti-Semitic.
Okay, yeah. Well, you can just show a picture of me, and I think you can get away with anti-Semitism. I think that showing a picture of me might be actually a means of doing anti-Semitism.
Well, that was the concern of booking you on the show, because we try to be very culturally sensitive. And so what to do about the Chiron was a worry. But the reason I've heard of you is because you were also on I-24. I actually am a guest on I-24, which is why we watch it so much. Because and also
I was.
You were on, and actually, you know what? Let me just step out of this, I think, pretty funny bit premise for a second and say that you actually did a really good job in this segment, in my opinion, which
on I-24?
Yeah, I think you really did, which actually to me adds to how funny it is.
I was pretty embarrassed by it, to be perfectly honest, but thank you. I appreciate that.
No, I legitimately.
I received a mixed review from my friends and family. Well, but my mom was happy I brushed my hair, so that was the best I could have hoped for.
Well, let's play the intro, because this is how I found out who you were, and this is, of course, how we're identifying you on tonight's show. This is Adam Friedland, his first appearance on I-24 News to talk about young Jewish people and their relationship to Israel.
From an influential American, the state is losing touch with young American Jews. In an interview with Haaretz this week, Alan Hoffman, the CEO of the Jewish Agency, called the trend extremely worrisome. Last year, the brand, Israel Group, released a survey showing Israel's favorability among young Jewish American college students dropped 27 percentage points between 2010 and 2016. One young American Jew with some strong views on this is Adam Friedland. He's a millennial activist who is also a stand-up comedian, and he's here in studio with me tonight. Adam, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So you came out very strong. You had your head cocked and you were smirking, and that was how you had to open the interview. What were you thinking in that moment?
I don't know. Well, they kind of did a pre-interview earlier in the day, and like they asked me like a couple of 2 hours before they did the show.
Mm-hmm.
So like I didn't really know even what I was agreeing to. But in the pre-interview, they were like, "Oh, okay, just tell us about yourself." I thought they wanted to ask about just interview me, a no-name podcaster and stand-up comedian in Brooklyn, about how I grew up Zionist, and I'm no longer a Zionist. But when I got in there, it was kind of like an O'Reilly factor debate format, which was very confusing to me.
She was nicer than Bill O'Reilly, dude. Let's be fair.
She was. I thought she was pretty mean, dude. To be perfectly honest, I did not enjoy it. And I'm saying this as someone who makes my living on a cum podcast, where my two friends make fun of me. So I'm a professionally made fun of. But no,
wait, so your friends, are they from shul and they make fun of you for not being a Zionist? Is that what's going on?
No. No. I'm on a podcast called Cumtown.
Cumtown.
It's pretty. I did mention that was probably the only thing I was proud about that I-24 segment.
Trust me, our crack research,
Adam television.
Adam, we have other clips of this interview, dude. Don't worry. So
okay,
let's,
good.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize that this would be so traumatic to you. We'll get to your Chelsea Clinton victory
No,
in a
it's
couple
fine.
of minutes.
It's not dramatic. Okay, yeah.
But first, let's play. Honestly, we picked apart because I actually, again, no bullshit. I think you did a really good job, and I like all of the people there at I-24, and so I'm not like speaking out of turn.
Yeah, they're nice.
Super nice
The guy
people.
that books it, Phil, is a really nice guy. I like him.
Well, Phil
I don't know
is
if he's there anymore.
I don't know either, but
Phil something. Yeah.
Phil
Podolsky.
When Phil came,
Yeah.
Shout out, Phil.
Shout out, Phil. Phil came up to me, because I got there a different way, but Phil came up to me, and honestly, and again, maybe I'm just burning all sorts of bridges, which is not my intention, but he came up to me, and honestly, I think on the day that I was going to go on, we had just released a clip called, I don't remember, but, probably something like, it's time to admit Israel's an apartheid state or something. And and I see this, very friendly, nice, Israeli guy coming up to me. And I honestly, my thought goes to like, you know what, Michael, like go have a good time. And, thanks for coming in. And that's it. We never want to see you again. Right. And then he comes in and he's like, I like you very much. And also, I don't know why I'm doing a Russian accent. And he's just like,
well, he is Russian.
Yeah.
Russian.
It's
yeah.
like TMBS
But he grew up in Israel. Yeah.
TMBS is very good. And all of this. And also I am a cumboy. Like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's awesome.
That's how I got booked on it, is because he listens to Cumtown. so I was booked on national news in Israel because of some guy who I think does their social media, listens to
who's really smart.
Dumb, my incredibly dumb podcast. No,
super dumb. Let's listen. Let's watch. Let's watch though the part. I think we have two. I think we do have a part with just the end.
No, it has the they talk about the alt-right and stuff like that.
Okay, let's play this out actually, because again, this is actually a really good job.
Generation, I think nowadays, what's pretty much happened is that we're scared in this country because there are people that are arguing for an ethno-state. There are Nazis marching in Charlottesville, for instance.
I just want to stop you there.
Yeah.
So the reason that Jews in America have loved Israel so much is because for thousands of years, Jews were persecuted all around the world. To have a Jewish homeland where they could feel protected and safe and connected to that, that was the reason they loved it.
You have
so
the
when
final
you talk
word.
about a rise of the alt-right and Nazis wanting to get rid of Jews in America, there's a reason that Jews love Israel, because it's their state. So at the end of the day, they have a place that it's their ancestral homeland, it's the country that they belong to. Do you understand that?
I understand that too, but then I also understand that Benjamin Netanyahu's son was sharing alt-right memes on his own Instagram account. He was blaming Black Lives Matter's activists for the violence in Charlottesville. So it's kind of strange bedfellows that have occurred, that have like come up in the last year, is that the far right in the United States has sort of like their messaging, I guess, has sort of mirrored the alt-right and the far right in the United States, and it doesn't make it palatable to a lot of Jews, young Jews in the States.
I won't argue with that. I will say that it's not everyone in Israel. It's some people in the government. But this was a great conversation. I'm glad we had you on. Thanks again, Adam.
I don't know if I'm an activist. Also.
Whatever, comedian. We'll call you a comedian. There you go.
Cumtown. Yeah.
All right.
I like how you say Cumtown and then you like look off to another camera.
Yeah, it was a pretty bizarre situation, I gotta be honest, but whatever. Yeah, I mean, I think I did well. I think Phil heard me. I went on a friend of ours podcast. They did a podcast, like a politics podcast called Chapo Trap House, and I talked about like going to Zionist Jewish summer camp and then like living in Israel for a year between high school and college. I think Phil, the producer at I-24, heard that and he booked me for it.
You know what? I the last thing I'll say on that kind of reminded me of this conversation I had with a baby boomer Zionist who's a really smart, really good dude. And we had an Israel argument and a Zionism argument. And you know what was so it was really depressing but kind of hilarious, because the flip at the end was like he finally just sort of basically ceded all the territory, and he's just like, God, I mean, from everything you're telling me, we just sound like absolutely horrible people. I mean, I would hate me if I wasn't me. So don't you think we need a place for refuge when everybody starts to hate us again?
That's funny.
I was like,
that's
wow.
a good bit.
That's jujitsu,
That's honestly
man.
a good bit. That's honestly like a more coherent. Is that we're also annoying that we don't need our own country.
Literally was where we were going.
More coherent defense of Israel than I've heard in the last couple years.
That would be funny if BB started and also we are so annoying and people can't stand us. So we need. Go ahead.
No, nothing. Well, no, that's what I got in trouble for last week, was my self-deprecating Jewish humor. Anyway.
Well, I was gonna go to that. We have the tweet up here.
Yeah.
So the context last week. I mean, everybody knows that Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who is just, I mean, the Elliot Abrams thing. She's great, and she said something which whatever. If you want, I think if you want to do an assessment of like how things could be phrased more delicately, which is, it's ridiculous conversation for somebody in comedy. It's not ridiculous for somebody in politics, but her fundamental point was actually just true and indisputable. And there was a whole bunch of disingenuous nonsense bullshit reaction to it, and accusing her of anti-Semitism and all this stuff, which is nonsense. And, I guess Chelsea Clinton got, and I don't have the original Chelsea Clinton tweet, but it seems like Chelsea Clinton got on the train and said something about, condemning Ilhan Omar. And I mean, just the idea.
No, not only did she condemn her, she said that she was playing on anti-Semitic tropes, and in her condemnation, she phrased it as an American. And Ilhan Omar is, of course, a Muslim immigrant and refugee who, overcame all of it to become a member of Congress, whereas Chelsea Clinton is someone that's had maybe 1.5 jobs in her entire life.
Hillary Clinton is like
enough to come out of the right womb, honestly.
Right. No, she's like a trust fund baby who gives interviews explaining it like, I'm not a vegetarian anymore because I trusted my body to eat meat, and then she tweets, and she had the temerity to say,
well, I think she's tweeting now because I think there's some sort of indication that her comms team is they want to groom her for office, and it's probably so. If you think about it, it's so fucking pathetic. Sorry, I don't know if I can curse on this.
You can curse.
I can curse. It is so fucking pathetic because you can just imagine the conversation was oh, what's cool now? What are the cool new politicians doing? Oh, you got Alexandria Ocasio. You got to get on Twitter. You got to start tweeting. That's how people think you're cool. And then, within the first 5 minutes of her starting to tweet, she's already accused and, just completely humiliated and shamed a Muslim woman for making a perfectly salient political point.
Right.
And done it in the guise of defeating anti-Semitism, which, A, she is not a Jew, and B, she is, completely, part of, what does seem to be somewhat well-structured network in Washington, D.C., where basically every single member of the Democratic Party condemned her or stayed absolutely silent, including Bernie Sanders and AOC. I don't even know what the hell AOC said. She said, it's good that you've learned, from your mistake or something. And then she basically apologized for it, which, in my opinion, was completely unwarranted, because I think her statement was perfectly reasonable. And the only thing she said was that lobbying organizations spend money to curry influence in Washington. That is it. And it's just a fact. And because it involved AIPAC, she just got completely railroaded. And I don't know. So I got pretty mad seeing that. And I got pretty mad seeing Chelsea Clinton running her mouth on Twitter about where she was chastising people about anti-Semitism, something that's that's not even your lane, Chelsea. And so I made a mean joke on
And
my, on
let
my
me
Twitter page.
read your mean joke. After, by the way, dude,
Yeah, yeah.
again, I'm not trying to like fuck up your brand, but like very good political analysis. And then
I mean,
yeah.
Thank you.
It's true. And I'm a professional.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. Adam Friedland tweets, Chelsea Clinton isn't even Jewish. She's just ugly. Now,
Which is
which is amazing.
To put in context, like, yeah, sorry.
No. I mean, you can put it in context in a second, but it's just I just want to. There's an important point here, which is that Adam, despite being like a comedian and a co-host of a show called Cumtown, he did what classy people do on Twitter, which is like when I write that Sam Harris is a gormless trust fund baby motherfucker whose like popularity is a national embarrassment. I don't put at Sam Harris because it's just tacky. Like, say what you will, but if you're going to try to drag somebody, don't at them. That's whatever reason. Maybe it's misplaced, but that's just my sense of Twitter etiquette. So
yeah, I mean, like,
you
the other
didn't
thing
at
is,
her.
like,
You did not at her.
I don't even see myself as like being in that game. Like, as a comic, we make fun of celebrities all the time.
Right.
And like, I didn't think that like this would get any type of blowback other than just like making like a self-deprecating Jewish joke with Hillary or Chelsea Clinton being like the punchline for, I guess, my followers on Twitter. But I didn't think like, I thought it was such a like separate world and I didn't think she'd honestly be a big enough fucking loser to name search herself on Twitter.
Well, that was my point I was getting to. The way she found this is by putting her name in a search engine and then clearly deciding that, one could only assume, I guess, just looking at your follow count and then just being like, oh, well, I'm going to get into that. And what's funny is, like, you're right. Like, you're literally doing, when I first saw your joke, which I thought was funny, I was like, this is amazing because now, like, in addition to all of the other fucking mess out of this Ilhan Omar thing, now we have like Borscht Belt jokes like are coming to it. Like, hey, Chelsea, you're just ugly. You're not a Jew. Like, that's literally, and it's a very funny joke, but that's like the level of that joke. So
of course, it's kind of like a throwaway joke on my like Twitter page. I didn't think that it was going to get quotes. I didn't think Geraldo Rivera was going to see it and then start dragging me off.
Wait, I didn't even know that you got dragged by Geraldo Rivera.
He's like, I'm terribly sorry, Chelsea. This Adam Friedland's a fucking schmuck, and you shouldn't listen to him. And then like Sandra Bernhardt quote tweeted it, and she was going off about how terrible this person is. But the worst part about it was just like my mentions just turned into an absolute cesspool of just like
Zionists.
I mean, my parents were like precinct captains for Hillary in my family's from Vegas, like for Hillary in 2008. Like they love the Clintons. And I just felt like for the next 4 or 5 hours after that, just every 2 seconds I was getting like my mom was like popping up, and it was like Cheryl 7837444. Just some fake looking Twitter account. And they were like, "Fuck you for calling women ugly, you anti-Semitic alt-right Russian piece of shit. Like, go kill yourself."
Whoa.
And I was just getting all these I guess they were probably 2.5 Xanax bars in and 4 glasses of wine, and they barely understood how the computer worked. My avatar on Twitter is just this picture of Chris Bosh, who used to play for the Heat Raptors, and some woman blew up my avatar, and she was like, "You're one to call someone ugly. Maybe you should look in a mirror."
That is so mean to Chris Bosh. What the fuck?
Yeah, she's just. I got Chris Bosh got dragged into this. I felt so. So I was just it was just a mess, and I was like, this sucks. I mean, I guess Ian Red, 3-4 days out now, I think it's pretty funny, and all my friends at the time were like, "This is great," and I was just like, "No, this sucks." Dude. For the people that gripe about the coordinated harassment campaigns of Bernie bros, I don't know what that was, but I was just getting all of these like drunk 65-year-old women like literally telling me that I'm hideous and I should kill myself. so like I don't know what I mean, they didn't have rose emojis and like, you know, hammer and sickles in their fucking display names, but that's if anything else, that's what transpired. So I was just like, I'm gonna log off for a couple
No, it
minutes.
is
I think
pretty
people
funny.
thought that
Yeah.
people thought that the Clintons got me taken off Twitter, which I kind of let that float around for a week just to think that like, you know, I'm in a Clinton Foundation black site in Syria with like a black bag over my head. I'm getting, like, getting waterboarded for my tweet or whatever.
Oh, you think my daughter's ugly? You think my daughter's ugly? Okay. Let's talk about
Do
anti-Semitism.
you feel like after the fact, I didn't like really think when I tweeted it, but after the fact, like I do remember in the 90s when she was a kid and then Rush Limbaugh like calling her a dog and stuff, and that's not fair.
No, that was
And
really
it's, like,
fucking
obviously,
horrible.
like,
What happened to her as a kid was
yeah,
fucking
it's really
horrible.
terrible.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
yeah, she's probably been treated badly before. I was just making some stupid joke because I got pissed off that she was like, you know, dragging this woman who's like literally, you know, 1,000 times more of the human being than she is in terms of what she's accomplished and what she's overcome.
Absolutely.
And then just trying to score points as like being this fucking hall monitor for anti-Semitism. And then getting to the point where she like quote tweeted me and then started to lecture
Well, let me have that.
about
Yeah, because that's
anti-Semitism.
because that's where we're going next. So then you quote. So
would she go up to? Yeah.
Well, hold up one
Yeah.
second. So she clearly is name searching her name. She finds your Jackie Mason joke. I'm going to stick with that. I kind of like it. Hillary Clinton isn't even Jewish. She's just ugly. Hey, you know. And then she quote tweets you. Hi, Adam. You're right. I feel like we guys should have the West Wing music under this. Hi, Adam. You're right. I'm not Jewish. Since you find me ugly, feel free to never look at me. And that, by the way, that part is fair. The ugly Jew is a vile, centuries-old anti-Semitic trope. So next time, please go straight to ugly and leave out the rest. Thank you. Where's the Aaron Sorkin music? There should be like soaring horns after that.
The West Wing, yeah.
Right.
So I mean, like that's like that is so psycho to me. Like honestly, you know, out of context, like she could have seen that and it was like what, you know, I was making some like some mean like Borscht Belt like roast of her. But like getting to the point where you think that you are the elected spokesperson for the Jewish community to where you're lecturing Jews now on what anti-Semitism is and not having the self-awareness to just like log off is just demented. It's absolutely psychotic. And like, I don't get what the goal is here, but I mean, it was incredibly upsetting to see what was happening with Omar, and I was just pissed off, you know, and I didn't think that the fucking president's daughter was gonna see my tweet.
Did you think
And I
that
didn't think
Geraldo was
Geraldo
going to
was-
get involved?
My friend Stav replied, and he's like, "Yo, like, thanks for setting this loser straight. Could you drop a couple more shirtless pics, but like drop the towel a little bit lower this time?" But I don't know if you've seen Geraldo's.
Yeah,
like,
what is Geraldo's one? I want to see the
Geraldo's
Geraldo
got like
one.
he's got like some sexy shirtless pics out, and so,
So Stav wanted more
so he was
shirtless
like,
pics
yo.
of Geraldo.
Yeah, Stav is like, yo, let me see. I want a couple more of those for the spank bank. But yeah, which is weird because he's like a Fox News guy now.
Yeah,
and like
been
he's
one
like
for a
coming
while.
out to bat for Chelsea or whatever. I don't know. It's strange, but no, it's pretty upsetting to me. Like I obviously.
Let me just
like
read
Bernie
Stav's
Sanders.
quote Let me just read Stav's tweet real quick. That is actually
What do
pretty
you
funny.
say?
I totally agree. Screw Adam. Geraldo, on another note, can you drop another shirtless pic, but this time with the towel a little lower? Wink emoji. Oh my god. All right, yeah, no, you were gonna say what was the thing you were gonna say? Go
I
ahead.
mean, like it's just crazy to me that any type of special interest you can talk about. It's like the fucking mafia. It's like the Cosa Nostra. Like, there is no mafia. You know, like anytime, like she made an accurate point about AIPAC, and anytime the word is brought up, there is no Israel lobby. And I mean, to the extent that like I like Bernie Sanders, but like to the extent that he won't even open his mouth when this kind of thing happens. It's like, what do they have on everyone in Congress? And I'm saying this as a Jew, okay? I'm going to preface this by saying this as a Jew. But if you want to make it seem like there isn't a Jewish conspiracy, this is not the way to do it. Because it's like getting that fucking apology from Omar less than 24 hours later, having like the leadership of like Pelosi and Schumer completely throw her under the bus, everyone in their own party completely throw her under the bus, including AOC. And then having her apologize, and then having Trump come out and say that now she should resign from Congress at this point. It's like, what? It certainly seems like there is some sort of coordinated effort to stifle any type of dissent towards this subject. And of course, the subject we're talking about is a puppet state, or not a puppet state, but an ally of the United States committing crimes against humanity, committing acts of ethnic cleansing.
We're talking about
breaking international human rights conventions. Like, there is. This is all done to defend absolute brutality towards some of the world's most vulnerable people. And if you pipe up about it, you're called an anti-Semite.
We need a coordinated dragging campaign on Ilhan Omar. Quick, everybody.
It's crazy that like call out culture and like canceling and stuff has now been co-opted by like people that are trying to torture Palestinians.
Well, I think that the original misuse and toxic manifestations of that culture were actually a lot of people doing Israel stuff. Because I remember back just like being in college, and again, it wasn't, like we weren't having this out and all these like dumb internet arguments, but you could be, talking about like an actual issue, like, some type of massacre in Gaza or the use of white phosphorus or something. And the response was always either, obviously like something real and wrong, but not like, the Holocaust. Yes, of course. But what does that have to do with what we're talking about? Or, an implication that you were being anti-Semitic or a self-hating Jew. So actually, like, all of the disingenuous, toxic versions of that bullshit were always leveraged in that argument. So it's full circle,
Yeah, it's just crazy. And like, I don't know, like I'm a comedian, and like the brand of comedy that I peddle, like in my podcast and on stage, is like, I think pretty maybe self-deprecating, kind of maybe a little bit immature.
It's not nice.
But
it's not nice humor.
Not,
it doesn't make
nice
people feel good about themselves or aspire to be better. It may be funny, but it is not nice. And you should know that, Adam.
Yeah, but when it comes to this subject, I mean, that's why I would go on I-24, and I am like a little bit embarrassed about like being so earnest, even now, or being earnest on I-24, but like this is something that like pisses me the fuck off, because I am like educated about this. I grew up in this world. I went like with my summer camp to lobby our members of Congress, like the oldest group in camp. They got a trip to DC, and they took us all to meet our members of Congress, and we lobbied them on behalf of the wall between the West Bank and Gaza. I met Harry Reid, who was my senator, when I was like 16, and I was like, Senator Reid, my name is Adam Friedland from tell you who that, and I'm here to ask you to support Israel's separation wall between the Jews and the Palestinians. And like,
Rabbi Shentova said that a wall between some nations is a crime, but between other nations is a mitzvah. Can you help us, Senator Reid?
It's just the most like blatant cognitive dissonance, where members of Congress can be like, Mr. Trump, we will never support your wall.
Right.
We will never support your brutality towards the refugees and the kids that are in the concentration camps on the border.
Right.
But then dragging this woman for saying anything about Israel. It's like, how can you not support it in context? Because I guess maybe because Trump likes it or something, and then wholeheartedly support it in another context. It's just like, what it really tells you is that these people stand for nothing, and our elected representatives stand for absolutely nothing. And in my opinion, we should be really mean to them, and they should be afraid of us. And that's the only way we could ever get anything done.
Bully the right people.
But,
yeah, so Adam, I've got some bad news for you, though.
What's that?
Been being very earnest.
I'm canceled.
Very earnest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're canceled for earnestness.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I agree with you 100%, and I think it's disgusting to ask me to put my values aside because I share an ethnic identity with somebody. It's disgusting. And the idea that you would ask me to support second-class citizenship, murder, physical control of other populations because of both a real issue of anti-Semitism, historical crimes, or just shared group identity is fundamentally fucked. And let alone an opportunistic, 30-something who hasn't, who's I'm sure is a perfectly nice person, but has not in any way proven herself as even an independent entity trying to, get currency off of attacking.
She got that contract from NBC News. She got a $600,000 contract.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'm sure that totally spontaneous. Yeah. No nepotism, of course.
She's done nothing. Like that's
nothing.
The problem here. It's like we hoist these people. I mean, Meghan McCain at least can be fairly competent on The View. At least she's been able to hold that down. Like I can't even think of a single thing that Chelsea Clinton has professionally accomplished or done for anyone else in the world, except for run a foundation where she used the top donors. This came out after the election. Her husband closed his hedge fund down. She was networking with top donors from the Clinton Foundation with him because he wanted to get them to invest in his hedge fund. And he lost billions of dollars for people because he was so bad at being a hedge fund manager. And his main plan was investing heavily in the Greek economy. That was his idea. He was like, well, it can't.
Are you serious?
He said it can't go down. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, sure. And her husband is Jewish, which I think is probably why she feels like she has a right to speak on behalf of all Jews. But his idea was oh yeah, what goes down must come up. And he went heavy in Greece and then lost billions of dollars for investment and couldn't even leverage the fact that his mother-in-law was the Secretary of State into any type of insider information that could make him money. That's how much of a failure he is.
Wow.
That's how much these people are literally addicted to failure, and somehow they've gained wealth and their platform grows. I mean, I don't understand how this is supposed to how we're supposed to treat these people.
It's self-replicating and it's insular and it's incestuous. But you're being totally unfair. I have no doubt that if Ilhan Omar came to New York and applied right out of college for a correspondent job at NBC, she could have gone right up against Chelsea Clinton and gotten that gig.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Gotten that, yeah. It was a $600,000 contract. She appeared on television once because she just couldn't do the job.
Really think about that. Literally, Tim Russert's fucking 20-something son, who literally was just I would do what my dad does. He fucking was able to sustain an MSN. Yes, he was able to do that though. He was able, they were able to give him enough Gatorade to be all right, what's going on? Well, Mitch McConnell's going to oppose that.
Sober up, dude.
Yeah, and he fucking did that.
Bro.
That says something.
Yeah.
The next time you're on, though, we might have to have a Bill O'Reilly style debate about Meghan McCain's competence. I'm not as sure about that as you are.
She at least goes on that show every day.
She sure does. That's
true. At least she does it at least she's done it more than one time. Like I just like.
She's pissed off Joy Behar more than one time. That's true.
Yeah. Well, I always hold it down for the Queen Joy.
Me too. That's not ironic. I actually really like her.
She's an absolute legend. Yeah. And
She
she came out as like kind of a Bernie bro, didn't she?
She's had some good
pro
politics.
universal healthcare and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. She did the one like
The
socialism is Sweden, not Venezuela.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, I was talking with my friends the other day on our podcast, and all three of us who are, white male comedians all agreed that The View is a good show. So I don't know if that's any type of test audience, but yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's
No, The View is a good show, and Joy Behar is awesome.
She rocks.
She rocks. Adam Friedland, I hope you'll do more stuff with us. This was fun.
Sorry for ranting. I thought I just get hot,
That was good. I liked it. You came.
I get ticked off about this kind of shit.
It's great. I love it. Makes my job easier. I can just sit back and check out my Puma tracksuit while you're just like, and another thing, the hypocrisy of it all.
And another thing, that she had the goal, the audacity.
And she name searched her own name, not even because it wasn't at her, and she went out of her way while her husband was bankrupting Greece. He couldn't even do nepotism and corruption right. That's what a schmuckle he is. And meanwhile, Hamas is just saying, give us a home.
They don't. It's like, oh my god, I don't even. I can go on. I can go on and on. But thank you for having me.
No, Adam, that was awesome. Adam,
it's great. Could you imagine her going up to like a group of black teenagers on the subway and being like, actually, I've been hearing that word you've been using, and it's one of the most dangerous, painful words in all of history.
What's really fucked up is I could absolutely
like,
imagine her doing
that.
That.
He can't be self-deprecating is like insane to me.
I could imagine her doing that. And actually, if you look at her dad's career, he did that. I mean, he did basically run for president.
He came out against the N-word?
Yeah, well, he came to, he came, and another thing, NWA is canceled, even if it's in power and it's still toxic. No, he went to Jesse Jackson, and there was a rapper her name was Sister Soldier, and she had like, what by like any standard was like totally minimal, like super chill, like I don't even remember. It was some type of provocative comment about the LA riots. It was nothing. And Jesse Jackson was like basically actually trying to say like, this is a young woman in her early 20s who's trying to talk about politics, young black woman. I'm going to like, talk to her, give her a little bit of attention in my organization, right? Not even necessarily endorse what she's saying. And Bill Clinton shared a stage with Jesse Jackson. This was a famous moment. And without plan, they didn't warn him. The point was to sandbag him and embarrass him in front of the cameras. He was just like, and we must condemn whether it's David Duke or Sister Soldier. And Jesse Jackson was like, fuck you, dude. Like, I mean, that's the other thing about the Clintons. Like, the thing now with the Clintons is that they do like they're pseudo woke, they're pro corporate, but now they pretend to be super like now they'll lecture you on anti-Semitism. But in the 1990s, I mean, Bill Clinton was like, he was a master of dog whistle politics, and not just the dog whistle. He signed things like welfare reform, which were direct attacks on those communities, on all poor people, but it was super racialized. So, there is something look, and I guess for what it's worth, I shouldn't hold Chelsea Clinton responsible for her parents' political career. But on the other hand, if she's going to benefit from it, then she should be held accountable for it too, is frankly my opinion.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, I just think of like the whole thing about when Hillary never visited Wisconsin was that they were like, can you stop sending Chelsea? Can Hillary actually just visit this and run for president?
No, I don't want to go. Fuck that. I understand that you think in NWA is using the word in a self-empowered way, but it's innately violent and you're canceled. All right. I'm having too much fun with that. Adam Friedland,
right.
he is a millennial activist, and he's also a co-host
Yeah.
of a show called Cumtown. Adam,
Yeah.
thanks for being
And
here,
a
man.
stand-up.
Oh, excuse me, and a stand-up
Thank you.
comedian.
A stand-up and a whatever.
A raconteur.
Okay. What's that?
A raconteur.
Yeah.
A,
Thank you so much for having me.
thanks, man.
I had fun.
Appreciate it. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye. All right, folks, we're going to go to the post game. We've got a whole bunch of stuff to take care of. We've got to talk about this uprising that's happening in Haiti, the Yemen resolution. It's going to be a really interesting gulag because Matt is going to be confronting his arch nemesis, Boris Epstein. And, a whole bunch of other stuff. We're going to be off all next week. What we're doing for the public is if you want to watch the video of our live show at the Bell House, you got to become a patron and watch it. We're going to release the audio on iTunes for the public so you can get a sense of how great that show was, how much fun we had there. We're also going to be probably unlocking at least one other post-game and bonus show as well. And clips will be going up on YouTube. Become a patron today. And thanks to everybody who's done so far. Food Bucket Challenge will be happening. Jesus Christ. Patreon.com/TMBS. Thank you to Matt. Thank you to David. Thank you, David. Thank you, Forrest. Thanks you to each and every one of you. We'll see you in the postgame.